So this is chapter 3 of Esther, and again, just want to preface the video by saying this is my first time reading through this chapter, and I initially started doing this just to capture the thoughts and kind of document it for myself, and then it turned into me wanting to share it. Excuse me. And so the video in its entirety may be quite lengthy, and I want to thank you for committing to it. If you're watching this, God bless you, and I look forward to hearing your comments as well. If I don't say that on the end, I'd like to hear what God has pointed out to you and grow by it as well. Chapter 3 begins reading this way. After these events, King Xerxes honored Haman, son of Hammedatha, an Agagite, elevating him and giving him a seat of honor higher than that of all the other nobles. All the royal officials at the king's gate knelt down and paid honor to Haman, for the king had commanded this concerning him. But Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor. The royal officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the king's command?" Day after day they spoke to him, but he refused to comply. Therefore he told Haman to see about whether Mordecai's behavior would be tolerated, for he had told them he was a Jew. I love it. So far, I'm talking about just our position to honor God, even when it's probably not culturally accepted. Okay, when Haman, I'm just trying to think too, like, because this is still about me getting as much of it as I can. Because Mordecai is clearly in this disobeying leadership. I'm going to turn this down because I'm a little closer to it today. So Haman is elevated. He wants Mordecai among the rest of them to kneel down in reverence to him. And Mordecai said, "Not so." Verse 5, when Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor, he was enraged. Yet, having learned who Mordecai's people were, he scorned the idea of killing only Mordecai. Instead, Haman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. So he was so mad he wanted to not only kill Mordecai, but all the Jews. I had a thought. Let me bring it to mind. I guess it's normal to feel slighted when you're promoted to a position and it's not acknowledged in the way that you are fully acknowledged in the way that you expect for it to be. And so let's just continue reading. These are my raw and real and first thoughts. In the 12th year of King Xerxes, verse 7, in the first month, the month of Nisan, the pur, that is the lot, was cast in the presence of Haman to select a date and month, and the lot fell on the 12th month, the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Xerxes, there is a certain place, dispersed among the peoples in all provinces of your kingdom, who keep themselves separate. Their customs are different from those of all the other people, and they do not obey the king's laws. Is it not in the king's best interest to tolerate them? Sorry, it's not a question. It is not in the king's best interest, he says, to tolerate them, because they don't fall in line with everyone else. It's his custom. Because they're Jews. Alright. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will give 10,000 talents of silver to the king's administrators for the royal treasury. So the king took his signet ring from his finger and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. Hope I'm saying that right. The enemy of the Jews. That's so interesting. I just posted something about making yourself an enemy by making enemies. Interesting. Verse 11. Keep the money, the king said to Haman, and do with the people as you please. Then on the 13th day of the first month, the royal secretaries were summoned. I guess Xerxes had no reason not to trust Haman, who he had just promoted. And so again, I think that speaks of reference to us. Wow, interesting. We're kind of talking about this in the group right now, but being trustworthy. What do we do with our anger? We talked about that in chapter 2 or chapter 1 as well. I believe it was 1 and not 2. I can't really remember right now. Was it 1 or 2? So the king gave his approval, and verse 12 says, then on the 13th day of the first month, the royal secretaries were summoned, and they wrote out in the script of each province and in the language of each people all Haman's orders to the king's satraps, the governors of the various provinces, and the nobles of the various peoples. These were written in the name of King Xerxes himself and sealed with his own ring. Dispatches were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces, 127. We learned in the first. Look at this power. Look at what the king's approval meant and weighed. Hallelujah. Verse 13. Dispatches were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces, with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day. Hang on one second. Let's see where we left off. So, an edict essentially was established to kill all the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day, the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, to plunder their goods, and to plunder their goods. That's typically the way it worked. But verse 14, a copy of the text of the edict was to be issued as law in every province and made known to the people of every nationality so that they would be ready for that day. One thing to be annihilated, another thing to be notified beforehand, to prepare for the day of like doom. I can't imagine what the people of God, how they responded to that. The Jews, can't imagine how they responded to that. Verse 15, which is our last verse of this chapter, it says, the couriers went out, spurred on by the king's command, and the edict was issued in the citadel of Susa. The king and Haman, they sat down to drink, but the city of Susa, there's my answer, was bewildered. Bewildered, let me look that up. Perplexed, confused, puzzled. Perplexed, confused, puzzled. Oh, I love it. It's interesting rather than I love it. I love studying. That's what I'm talking about. I love new finds and new meanings and things. They were perplexed, confused, and bewildered. That's probably not the word that I would imagine would be used for how the Jews responded to the edict. That there would be a day that everything and everybody connected to them would be wiped out. But again, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, and excited to see where this goes. For me, I think what this chapter unfolded, or what I realized in this chapter, I think for me it's just more so a refreshing. I have some insight into, how the story plays out, so I'm not that surprised. This isn't like new information entirely. It's allowing me to have a refreshed background to what I'm hoping to find out in chapter 4. When we get there, I'll let you know what couple of verses that was, and then we'll culminate there. I think the entirety of what I saw in chapter 3, I had already kind of reviewed in chapter 1 and 2. So forgive me, because right now the chapters are together. And so they're together. Like I'm here for the lesson, and I am failing right now when it comes down to separating the two chapters that I read. And that might be an issue I have overall. Like once I read it, I have the information. But anyways, all right. I'm gonna stop this video, and I will come back with chapter 4. I'm gonna to say this too. I just thought it interesting, just kind of replaying the first part of it, that the king ordered for everyone to honor this promotion, honor Haman's new position. Bear with me. And to look around the room, you will want, I said in the earlier video that he wanted them to kind of kneel down, and the scripture actually says that. And I would say he wanted them to, because it was what the king had ordered, and it's like a moment to be cherished, if that makes sense. It's a moment to be had. And so to look around the room and to see that one of the majority is not, it is frustrating. I covered that. It can be frustrating, and it's something to be dealt with. It's something to deal with. I just meant to say that with the insight that I have about how this story continues, I know that it's not to be dealt with the way that Haman did. And also, it even mentions here in the text that he ordered for not just Mordecai, but for all the people. And what does it say? All the people, annihilate all the Jews. This is verse 13. Destroy. It says destroy, kill, and annihilate. Destroy, kill, and annihilate. And then it's interesting, and because it talks about that day, and when I first read it, I was thinking about like a particular day, but there is a day, meaning that there is going to be a time. It's not going to be all in a day, but there's going to be a day that's going to probably begin destruction first, killing, my God, and just wiping them out. And yeah, just all very interesting. I just thought really extreme for the first day of power, first day of reign. And yeah, but the lesson is still the same, right? That it matters who we are in leadership. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting that yeah. Alright, well, I guess there's no need to probably watch the first video, because this one is a summary almost. But if you will, God bless you, and I look forward to hearing your responses yet again. Next video will be Esther chapter 4. God bless. It also matters who we promote and how we promote. Yeah. Didn't need this to be 3 videos, but I'm done now.